Hey, GW here once again. Hey, I wanted to drop a little review or synopsis about one of my favorite PS4 games. It's called Until Dawn. This game is really amazing in the fact that anyone in the world could play it and actually win or finish it, I should say. The interesting thing is, though, this game is set like an 80s slasher film. The other cool thing about this game is it's got Rami Malek and Hayden Panettiere in it. And the gist of the game is basically a year before the current events in this game, two sisters die. Rami Malek's character, I believe his name is Josh, actually invites you up to this snow-covered ski lodge to party your brains out. Party like porn stars, I guess is the way he phrases it. And when you start playing this game, you're going to notice a couple of things. One, that it's not action heavy. It's not a run and gun game. It's not a hack and slash game. And it's not a Grand Theft Auto type affair. This is actually a narrative game, which means you pick the decisions. Based on your decisions, the game has what they call the butterfly effect. So anything that you pick will later on affect the characters down the line. Now, you do play as all the characters in this game, with the exception of the psychiatrist. Psychiatrist is played by Peter Stormare, and it really ratchets up the tension, I should say. Because when you go into it, you automatically think one thing. And I'm not going to give away any of the ending or any of the middle, because I want you guys to play this thing. Because if you play it, it really does surprise you. And it does take cues from horror films and sci-fi films. You know, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It pulls from all these different things, and it creates something amazing. The one thing, though, that you'll notice is that, like I said, this is not an action-heavy game. But the one thing you'll notice is that if this were made into live action, it would be awesome. It would be one of these movies that you go in expecting one thing, and you're thoroughly surprised because it turns into something else. That being said, I can't tell you that, you know, you can go on the internet and you can check out all the decisions you have to make to play a quote-unquote perfect game. And before I go on, I want to thank the Rad Brad, who's on YouTube, who actually helped me, you know, walk through this game. He's got a little walkthrough there. Of course, I did better than you, Brad, but hey, you're the master, and you're great. Therefore, if you like horror films and you want to be surprised, and you're into the Walking Dead Telltale games, if you will, this will be a perfect companion piece. That being said, this game does pull surprises out left and right, and no two endings are the same. So, if you're looking for something different, and you can actually spend a weekend and actually beat this thing. The one thing that's interesting, I will tell you guys, is that when you make your decisions in the psychiatrist's office, who's played by Peter Stormare, for those of you who don't know Peter Stormare, he was on The Big Lebowski as a nihilist, and he's been on some other things, but that's where, you know, you'll recognize Peter Stormare from. Any choice you make later on becomes apparent that it increases. So if there's a question about, do you hate scarecrows or isolation? And let's just say you answer scarecrows. Further down the line, there'll be Scarecrow in his office, you know, messing with your character. So it's little things like that, and no two endings are the same. Now, I will give you guys a piece of advice on this game. If you play it and you come across any animal, leave that animal alone or choose not to hurt it. Because the animals in this game are vicious, and there will be dire circumstances if you start messing with them. But Until Dawn, actually, I found to be an amazing game for a game that I actually could not put down. I just finished it, and I did okay. And like I said, you can actually play a perfect game if you know what you're doing. The other thing is that it's like a choose-your-own adventure book. And in the sense that somebody's in jeopardy. You have to save them. Do you take the safe way and climb? Or do you run and play a multitude of mini button-mashing games on both scenarios to try to rescue them? It's things like that that Until Dawn really excels at. The one thing that it kind of lacks is that the middle part of the story does drag a bit, but after you complete it, it pretty much makes sense on why it drug. And you do get to play each one of these characters. And that, I think, is pretty neat, because you get to see things from different characters' perspective. And the third thing is this is a game that, like I said, should be made in a movie. It would be great, especially with the plot twists coming at you left and right. And once you get to the middle part of the story and you realize that going into it, it's not what it seems, it makes it that much cooler. So, I suggest, anybody who likes 80s horror or slasher films, or even, wants to play something different, if you're a fan, like I said, of the Walking Dead Telltale games, check this out. And I also would like to thank the people at GameStop, Jess, Caitlin, who recommended this game to me. And I really didn't think I'd like it, but I'll tell you what, I spent a whole weekend and I think 3 days. I had spent 5 days on this, and I could not put it down. So, give Until Dawn a try, and like I said, only on PlayStation. So if you have a PS4, check it out. Until then, GW, I'm out, and if you keep watching them, I'll keep making them.